Now let's bring in Republican Senator from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, also a candidate for governor. Senator, welcome.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
So there are calls to send in federal authorities potentially into red states, too, including Louisiana and even possibly Tennessee. Your state Senate Democratic leader is against that, saying, quote, Memphis doesn't need more political theater. We need real partnerships, real investment, and real solutions, not a military occupation led by people who have never lived a day in our neighborhoods. As potentially the next governor of Tennessee, would you welcome federal resources in hard-hit areas of Tennessee in terms of crime? And what's your reaction?
Yes, Mike, actually, the FBI and Kash Patel have surged resources into Memphis, and they are apprehending gang leaders and gang members. This is a very good thing. It is helping to make Memphis safer, and I am grateful to Director Patel. You know, when he came before us for our Judiciary Committee hearing, the first thing I brought up with him was the importance of getting an FBI presence on the ground. And you know, when you have cities where they're practicing these soft on crime policies, and it's your DAs and your judges, and they're not prosecuting these criminals, they're letting them go, and then people in the community are saying, let's get more resources in here to apprehend them. Memphis is getting those, and if it becomes necessary for the National Guard to go in, of course, I would support doing that. You see how well that has turned out in D.C. I mean, you've got now the mayor, the city council saying having the presence of the Guard, allowing law enforcement to go apprehend and then put these people in jail to hold them. And Mike, I will add, this is important too, that we have to end these cashless bail policies. And I'm grateful to President Trump for putting an executive order out on that, and I have legislation we've introduced that would end it not only in D.C., but also in some of these blue cities, if they're going to continue with cashless bail and allow these criminals with murder, rape, violent crime charges against them back out on the streets, then let's restrict their federal law enforcement funds.
There's been a back and forth this weekend between President Trump and Illinois Governor Pritzker. Senator Dick Durbin also sounds upset. Let's play him and I'll get you to react.
The terrible things that the President of the United States is saying about using troops in the Department of War in the city of Chicago is an embarrassment and disgusting.
Considering the crime in Chicago, are you surprised by the pushback?
It is so astounding to me that these Democrat leaders who, under Joe Biden, had absolutely nothing to say about illegal immigration and wanted to defund the police, now are upset that President Trump is going to put federal law enforcement into these communities and help people protect their property and their lives. And Mike, you know, it is appropriate. People want to feel safe. And isn't it interesting that people are saying, please, President Trump, we'd love to have some backup and some help. Law enforcement saying the same thing, but it is the elected officials that have supported soft on crime, leftist policies, defund the police. They're the ones that are saying, oh, no, there's no crime here. And of course, you talk with any citizen and they'll tell you differently. Actually, I have not talked to one single person that wants Tren de Aragua, MS-13, or any other of these gangs to move into their neighborhood, to set up an operation in a house. They don't want pedophiles, and they don't want these people coming into their communities. They want them apprehended. They want them removed.
The Justice Department's also backing a bill from you protecting children from gender mutilation. I spoke with a doctor who is a supporter. Yes. Let's play him and I'll get you to respond.
We do have a growing number of people who have gone through chemical or surgical changes and who are now trying to detransition or wanting to do that. we have more and more people with this transition regret, as we say. And it's important that we recognize that these people need help.
If your legislation passes, Senator, how would it work? What would be the impact?
Yes, what it would do for these physicians and institutions that are marketing the chemical and surgical mutilation of children, of minors, then there would be penalties placed on them. You cannot market this as gender affirming care, and it's important that we begin to put some restrictions around that.
This Tuesday, your subcommittee in Senate Judiciary will hear from a Meta whistleblower, the social media giant.
Yes.
What are your expectations, Senator?
We're going to be looking at these chatbots and virtual reality, and we have whistleblowers. I've had the opportunity to sit down with a couple of them. Meta knows exactly what they are doing. They know precisely the harms that are happening. You have people in the company that have tried to warn the Meta leadership team and C-suite what this is doing to the mental health of our children. They have ignored it because they're more interested in making a buck off of our kids, and they want them to be online. They're the product when they are online, and it is disgusting what they are doing to our children. So yes, indeed, Tuesday, I will chair that hearing. We're looking forward to having the whistleblowers before us and hearing what they have to say about the inner workings that are taking place at Meta as you're looking at virtual reality and the chatbots. And Mike, it's important to realize many times when you look at the psychological and physiological reaction to some of what they are seeing in virtual reality, it is the same as if they were seeing that or having it take place against them. And so we're hearing from child psychiatrists and psychologists and pediatricians and parents and teachers of what is happening to children with this activity. And of course, this is one of the reasons it is so imperative that we pass the Kids Online Safety Act and put some restrictions and some accountability on social media platforms.
Senator Marsha Blackburn of the great state of Tennessee, I look forward to seeing you up here on the Hill soon. Safe travels this week.
Senator Josh Hawley, R. Missouri, called to open the courtroom doors so parents can sue Meta, accusing founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg of misleading Congress after whistleblowers detailed child safety failures on the company's virtual reality platforms. Two former Meta researchers told a Senate panel Tuesday that the company buried child harm evidence in VR, killed age verification studies, and let AI chatbots flirt with kids, prompting a bipartisan push to pass measures protecting minors online. The claims at the heart of this hearing are nonsense. They're based on selectively leaked internal documents that were picked specifically to craft a false narrative, a Meta spokesperson said. The truth is, there was never any blanket prohibition on conducting research with young people, and, since the start of 2022, Meta approved nearly 180 Reality Labs-related studies on issues including youth safety and well-being. Testifying before the Senate were Casey Savage and Jason Sadison, both former Meta researchers. Sadison alleged Meta routinely prioritized engagement and profit over safety, especially for kids, and manipulated or erased research showing harm. He said despite attempts to curb data collection, the studies researchers could run still showed the company's products endangered users. Germany once banned Meta's VR sales over data treatment concerns. After sales resumed in 2022, Sadison was sent to conduct research there. He said he understood Meta was trying to show its VR headsets were safe for Germans. But when research uncovered that underage children using Meta VR in Germany were subjected to demands for sex acts, nude photos, and other acts children should never be exposed to, Sadison alleged Meta demanded all evidence be erased. My research still revealed emotional and psychological damage, particularly to women who were sexually solicited, molested, or worse, he testified. In response, Meta demanded I change my research in the future to not gather this data on emotional and psychological harm. Savage testified she led youth safety research in VR and likewise said Meta prioritized engagement over child safety. She said the company employed suppression tactics, including editing reports, demanding deletions, and threatening jobs. Hawley asked Savage why it was important for Meta to have children under 13 using VR. She told him kids drive household adoption of gaming devices, which means more money for Meta. So this is about profits at the end of the day, Hawley told Savage while seeking clarification on whether Meta will do anything for a profit, including exposing children to vile sexual abuse. When I was doing research to identify the harms that children were facing in VR, which I had to be sneaky about because legal wouldn't actually let me do it, I identified that Roblox, the app on in VR, was being used by coordinated pedophile rings, Savage said. They set up streep clubs, and they paid children to streep. She added that Robux could be converted into real money. Savage said she flagged the issue to Meta, saying under no circumstances should Meta host the Roblox app on the headset. You can now download it in their app store, she said. Later, under questioning, Savage told the panel she estimates any child in a social VR space will come in contact with, or be directly exposed to, something inappropriate. She said every single child who goes into the platform will 100% be exposed to child sex abuse material. Every single one, Hawley told Fox News Digital Tuesday evening. I just come back to the fact that we have got to protect our children. It can't be that if you go online as a kid, you are 100% likely to be sexually abused, and that's what the witnesses said today. If you are online, if you're on their virtual reality program platform rather, you are going to get sexually abused. That was their testimony. Hawley called out Zuckerberg for testifying on January 31, 2024, that Meta does not allow people under the age of 13 on the service. During his testimony last year, the CEO said anyone under the age of 13 will be removed from the service. And in response to another question, Zuckerberg said Meta does not want users under the age of 13. Hawley said Zuckerberg misled Americans with that testimony, pointing to whistleblowers who said, under 13 users are rampant on the platform. I don't see how you can square what he told us under oath last year with what these whistleblowers said today, Hawley told Fox News. But that's true of a lot of his statements. I mean, he said over and over, whether it's the safety protocols Facebook has put into place, that's not true. Whether it's regarding their work in China, he said, oh, we don't do work in China. That is not true. He said, we don't have any contacts with the Chinese government. That's not true. So, I mean, we're really piling up a long list here. Hawley said he has called for Zuckerberg to testify again under oath, though he's heard Meta isn't interested. Ultimately, Hawley said it was time to open the courtroom doors so victims and families can sue Meta for failing to protect children. It is abundantly clear to me that it is time to allow parents and victims to sue this company, he said. They have got to be able to get into court and to get in front of a jury and hold this company accountable, and that begins with Mark Zuckerberg. There has to be accountability. We have to open the courtroom doors and allow victims to have their day in court. Earlier this year, Hawley said he advanced legislation through the Judiciary Committee that would allow victims of child sex abuse online to sue Facebook or any big tech company where harm happens. I don't think we're going to see real change at these companies until this becomes law, and parents and victims can get into court and hold these people accountable, he said. The bottom line is we've got to protect our kids. I mean, they're making money by stealing the innocence of our children. Meta told Fox News Digital the company is training its artificial intelligence bots to not respond to teenagers on self-harm, suicide, disorder eating, and potentially inappropriate romantic conversations, regardless of content. The company is also working to limit teen access to a select group of AI characters, for now. Senator Marsha Blackburn, R. Tennessee, closed the meeting by inviting anyone from Meta to testify or challenge what was said. I think that they see there is truly bipartisan anger, not only with Meta, but with these other social media platforms and virtual reality platforms, and chatbots that are intentionally, knowingly harming our children, she said. This has got to stop. Enough is enough.